You will understand slowly in the other sessions.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
okay, so generally, if in any team in the IT, like in any IT company, generally a team comprises of around from ranges from around 5 to 6 members to hundreds of members.
Okay.
So let's say I bought a product for a team for my team.
Okay.
Uh, let's say let's say my team comprises of around some 150 members. Let's say like that. So I bought a product like uh, let's say some product like a data modeling product or for easiness, let's say Visual Studio. Understood. For my development
Yeah.
purpose, to my complete team, I bought a product Visual Studio. You know about this Visual Studio, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And for that particular product, to all my team members, I want to install only some features in that one. Like Visual Studio contains .NET, C Sharp, ASP.NET, C++, PowerShell, like that, many modules it will be having. But I want my team members to install only C++. Understood?
Only C++.
Only C++.
Okay.
So what one option is, and let's say in my team I have 50 members around experienced guys and the other 100 members about freshers. And I want every member in my team, everyone in my team to install that product and apply the same license which I am using, and also uh, should install in the same way everyone installs, like the feature selection or other options like a desktop shortcut or start menu shortcut, everything. All the members should install the same. Understood. So one way is to educate all the guys so that they will do the installations themselves. Even though we give the exact documentation or how to install like that, some or other person may miss the option with the human errors, right? By mistake, they might select some other feature like that. So that's how each and every system will install the product, but we may not confirm the state is same in all the machines, right?
Hmm.
And let's instead of that one, what I will do is I will disable admin rights to everyone, and I will keep one guy as a network administrator who will install in all the machines. That is one approach. If I'm having 5 to 6 members team, by keeping one person as point of contact and installing that product would suffice my requirement. Uh, because he will take care of everything, whatever hardware issues or anything, software issues, installation issues or anything. But let's say, as I had mentioned, you my team is around 150 members. So in that case also, it will take around 1 week time to do the installation, right?
Yeah.
For
Yeah. Yeah.
150. So now let's increase the number. Instead of 150, let's change my number to some 1500.
Hmm.
So if that one person or let's say some team of 5 to 6 persons go on installing the product in one by one machine, by the time the installation completes, it will take around 5 to 6 months or at least 2 months. So by the time the installation is complete, so much development tasks will be on hold because the resources without the installation of the product they won't be working. They will be sitting idle, the developers or the testing team members. Or by the time the product got installed on the machines, another version of the product also will get released, right? If version 2 is
Yeah.
being installed, we may by the time it took some 2 to 3 months or 4 months, version 2.2 or version 3 will also will get released. Again the process will start again, upgrading that one. So instead of doing this manual process, what companies or the big organizations follow is they will follow the automated approach. Like all these machines, 1500 or 2000 machines, all these will be connected to the Active Directory environment of Windows, and uh, they will use a deployment tool like SCCM.
Yeah.
Let me share my screen so that
Yeah.
I
What
will.
is this Active Directory and all this?
I will show you. I will show you. So if you are working in, are you working in Linux environment or Windows environment?
Before only in Windows.
Windows only, right? So when you are trying to log in, so you will be logging with the account created on that machine or with your employee ID.
Employee ID.
So with that employee ID, you are able to log in on any machine in the uh, office environment, not only your particular workstation, right?
Means I didn't try it. Okay, maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. Let me. You are able to see my notepad, right?
Yes.
So whenever you are trying to log in, you will be logging in with your domain name also. Some domain name will be there,
Yeah.
like your company
So
name,
yeah, company name dot
uh,
maybe software dot some dot. Yeah.
some .com, and you will try to log in with the domain name, right? So your username. So actually, what happens is this: there will be some set of dedicated machines called Active Directory. We'll call them as Active Directory AD machines in the short Active Directory. AD machines, AD domain machines, domain AD machines. So we will have some set of machines with which are dedicated for this AD, where it will contain all your user IDs, all your employee IDs. Understood?
Okay.
All your employee IDs will be registered in these machines, and also all the machines whichever are there in the in your corporate network, all those will be can be interconnected with this machine and can be pinged, and all those machines entries will be registered in these machines in this server machine.
All
So
those entries.
all the machine names, all the workstations in your machine names and IP address of those machines will be registered in this machine. So
So if
uh,
I open a system like 10 times like close and so everything is recorded in the AD machine, like is it like register or log file
yeah,
of that particular
like
ID?
not like a log file. It will be maintained as a component in this machine. So whenever I try to log in from one network of my machine, so the domain name, this company.com, actually is this machine's company computer name. Understood? So when I tried, so actually when I try to log into a workstation, there will be two types of users. One user is created; it's the local user, which is uh, available only to that particular machine where I am trying to log in. Say your laptop. In your laptop, before you log in, you are creating your user account, right?
Yeah.
While you're in. So if it is another one is the AD user, I mean your company ID through which you are trying to log in. It's the domain user. We'll call it as domain user. There what happens is you will type the domain name and the username, and when you type the password internally, it will connect to this AD. It will contact the domain. You will call that as AD machine or domain controller. Understood? It will contact the server and check for the username entry whether it is there in that. If it is there, what it will do is it will create a local user with the same name, and it will log in to the system. Understood?
Okay.
Will you
So
please explain once again?
see, there will be some set of machines called as domain servers
Okay.
in your local environment. So whenever you want to log into any machine, what the machine will do is it will contact the domain and it will check whether your user is registered or not there in that entry, and it will fetch the details and log in your local machine.
Okay.
So let me tell like this. There will be one server machine in the office network. So,
Okay.
if you want to log into your laptop, if it is connected to the office environment, what you will do is, in your laptop, you will type the domain name and the password. So, but your user ID, your domain user won't be available in the laptop. It will be available on that server machine. So what your laptop will do is, it will send a request to that server machine to check whether this particular user is available in the database or not. So then the server will check with the password you type, and it will send a reply to the laptop telling that particular user is there and the password is also correct. Then what happens is, then your laptop will provide access to you to enter the desktop. Understood?
Okay.
So even though you are connecting to your laptop, all those controls and everything will be done by the domain controller. I mean the AD machines.
So here, once it replies the okay, the user credentials are correct, then a local user is created. Yes.
In local, it will create a profile for you.
Profile it creates in the AD machine only.
My documents and everything will be created in your laptop only.
Oh, okay. In my documents. Okay. It's not in temporary folder.
It's it will be in your C users documents. If any domain issues, I mean, if any access issues or some file system issues comes, it will create in C users temp.
Okay.
But both will be in your local machine only.
Okay.
But in the domain controller, I can set some policies so that some set of folders like app data roaming, those will be saved in some other machines. Understood?
Okay.
So I can configure some set of if you see in some companies, my documents won't be there in C users documents. It will be there in some H drive.
Yeah.
In those cases, what happens is, instead of sharing in your my documents won't be there in your local machine. It will be there again in the AD server only.
Okay.
So you will get access. The local user will be created in your machine, but my documents will be saved in the domain controller again.
Okay.
Instead of in domain controller, we can keep in some other network machine also.
Okay.
So that particular network machine is only for saving the files. But what I mean to say is, the main master, which will control everything, will be the domain controller. It will provide to you access and all.
Domain controller means AD machine.
AD machines. So to handle these domain controllers, the domains, the IP addresses, and all these network administration tasks, there will be Windows support engineers. That particular role is called Windows support engineers. I'll write here. So all these infrastructure activities, the maintaining the machines, installing the softwares, all this will come under one section called as infrastructure engineers. Understood? In this infrastructure engineer, whoever maintains this Active Directory, all these guys will come under Windows support engineers. Understood? If they are maintaining the Windows, they will come under Windows support engineers. If the AD environment, all these are maintained in the Linux, then they are called as Linux administrators. Understood? They are called as Windows support engineers or Windows administrators. Understood? Okay. So these Windows support engineers, along with maintenance of these things, if you get any issues with your workstation, like suddenly some hardware issues, or it is not able, some particular thing is not working and you are not able to resolve that, then you will call a IT help desk, right? In your companies. So these guys will come and not these guys completely. In these guys, the high experienced guys will be managing these Active Directories and all, and the low experienced guys will be managing the user support tickets. Like they will come to the user and they will resolve the issues. Understood? In this, the experience range differs. And these two are one type of jobs in the infrastructure engineers. And other one is SCCM admins. What is this? What is this task is? We will have one tool called SCCM, means System Center Configuration Manager is the tool name. It's a product name by Microsoft, released by Microsoft. What is the main purpose of this product is? So let's say you will be installing an operating system, right? When you purchase a brand new laptop or a workstation, are you guys in? Do you guys have any doubt till now?
No.
When you purchase any laptop or when you purchase any workstation, means for your office purpose, the first thing you will do is you will install an operating system like Windows operating system or Linux, Ubuntu or anything, right?
Yeah.
So let's say some Windows OS. After that, what you will do? You will install the drivers. Drivers specific to the vendor, whether it is Lenovo or Dell or HP. Different drivers for different companies, right? Hello?
Yeah.
Audio driver, video driver, like that. So once it is done, what you will do is you will install your business softwares like Skype for business, or you will install Office 365 and Skype will be installed by default with that, or let's say we'll install it separately, Skype for business. And after that, you will install WebEx or GoToMeeting or whatever. And if you are in a development team, you will install Visual Studio or Eclipse, Java, whatever, etc. Many other softwares, whichever you need, right?
Yes.
So this is the manual task which you will do. But generally what happens is, whenever let's say I got a new team completely, a new project, new team around 200 members. So the same approach which I told you, installing a single software, a single operating system to each and every guy. Again, it will take at least minimum of 1 week or 10 days time, right? But I don't want to waste that much time. I want to do everything in hours. Like within 1 or 2 hours, all the environment should be ready. So in that case, we'll be using this SCCM. In SCCM, what we'll do is we'll have this concept of through SCCM. What this SCCM will do is, SCCM also a similar machine like Active Directory. It is also one more server, a Windows server. Mostly Windows Server 2012 we will install. In this machine, I will install this SCCM tool. Once this SCCM tool is installed, I will connect. Yeah.
SCCM is a Unix server, you're saying?
No, it's not a Unix server. It's a Windows server.
Windows server.
Yeah, Windows Server 2012. SCCM is a Microsoft product which I will install on Windows Server 2012 operating system. Windows Server 2012 R2, or you may install on 2016 also. But companies are still using 2012 R2 only. They didn't migrate yet. So in this 2012 R2 machine, I will install SCCM 2012 R2. It's a different product. And SCCM 2012 R2 is the version still they are using. 2019 version also came. 19 version is going to come. 2016 version is already available. But still, in all the companies, we are using 2012 R2 only. Because it's a very huge product. We cannot migrate it on the go. Understood.
Okay.
So even if you want to keep experience, you can keep in 2012 R2.
Okay.
If you keep in 2016, hardly you can keep experience up to 2-3 months, not more than that. That's fine.
Oh,
So 2012 R2, you will install in this machine. Once this is installed, uh, it will be integrated with the AD machine. Understood? So whatever the data available in Active Directory, it will be available to SCCM also. So all your user IDs, everything will be integrated in the SCCM. Understood? In this SCCM, what I will do is, I will create a task sequence where I will upload a OS image like Windows 10. Understood? Hello?
yeah.
And once the OS image is uploaded, what I will do is, in the task sequence, I will integrate this OS image Windows 10 and Lenovo drivers and some set of softwares.
Okay.
So, and again in the task sequence, I will keep some condition to detect whether it is a, or I will create multiple task sequences. One is for Lenovo and one is for HP, one is for Dell, like that. Understood? So once I purchase a Dell workstation, what I will do is I will connect to the network, and through the SCCM, what I will do is I will add an entry to this machine. The SCCM administrator will come in the picture. He will add an entry to this machine. In your machine at present, nothing is there. It's a brand new machine. No operating system, nothing. Once you power on, only the black screen is available. So what I will do is, I will provide this my bare machine. Without OS, we will call the machine as bare machine. Okay. The terminology. This bare machine, I will provide these details to the end user. So what I will do is, he will note the MAC ID of your machine, and he will simply connect your machine to the network. Once he connect to your machine to the network, and when you click on power button, it will start booting to the network. Understood? Once it goes to the network through the SCCM, your machine will be available in the SCCM as an entry, even though no OS, as it is connected to the network. So in the SCCM, there will be a front end for this SCCM called as SCCM Configuration Manager client, Configuration Manager client, or SCCM client in the short, or SCCM. No, not SCCM client. Just SCCM Config Manager we'll call. SCCM Config Manager is the front end. In this Config Manager, your machine will be available. This config, there he will, on your machine, he will just right click and he will simply assign that particular task sequence, that Lenovo or Dell or like that. Understood? Even if you want to automate mode, what he will do is, he will check the BIOS settings. He will automatically fetch the BIOS details also. In SCCM, when the machine is connected, your machine BIOS details also will get. Like when a machine is connected, even though no OS is installed, he will get details like which particular company is that, what is the model of the laptop and all those details he will get. So based on the model, automatically that particular task sequence, like if it is a Lenovo task sequence will be assigned to that machine. So immediately your OS installation, drivers, set of softwares, all those will be installed in the background. By the time you will be having some cup of coffee and coming back, your complete OS installation and softwares will be installed there.
Okay.
Understood.
Yeah.
And you will get an email notification also. So that if you are in some other convention room, in your mobile you will get a email notification saying your laptop is ready. So you can come and pick that one directly. So that is how this SCCM will work. So now this set of work will be done by SCCM admins. Now I will tell about this application repackaging, and we'll we'll term this as packaging, but there is a difference between packaging and repackaging. I will tell you the most of the work you guys will be doing, or most of the work in the projects in the companies will be repackaging.
Okay.
I will tell you what is this repackaging now. See, in this task sequence, you are installing an image, OS image, right? And you are installing the Linux driver, Lenovo drivers, and you are installing some set of softwares, right? Your softwares.
Yeah.
Let's say I am installing Visual Studio, right? Visual Studio, it is being installed with this SCCM automatically on a one click. But how would SCCM will know which particular feature should select and all?
Can you come again before starting with Visual Studio?
So see, this OS deployment, everything will be done by SCCM administrators, right?
Okay.
Like,
That is a separate job. SCCM administration it is. Hello?
Yeah.
So, but these SCCM administrators, they will deploy the OS and all. But coming to that application, how will they tell the SCCM tool that only you need to install these set of features? Like, let's say, in the set of softwares, I kept this Visual Studio exe. Setup.exe. Understood? So SCCM, what it will do is it will simply trigger that setup.exe. But what it will do, it will open the feature selection page in the Windows, right? So, but how SCCM will know which particular feature should be selected? There will be many features. Like when you open setup.exe, let me tell you, D softwares. Let's say I have this Notepad++. Let me run this. It is one setup.exe. So if you see the first prompt, it is asking me the language selection. So if I am in India or in any US, my most common selection will be English, and I will click OK. But I am in some Chinese or some other environment. I'm handling Chinese clients or German clients. What I will do? I should select their language, right? French or German, like that. So here there is a roadblock. How will you tell SCCM that I need to select that particular language?
Maybe depending on the user credentials. Like if we assign like one guy to French and one guy to English, depending on the user credentials, we need to assign the SCCM.
But how will SCCM will select this drop down? It is not a complete automated software, right?
Yeah.
So in SCCM, okay, let's say SCCM will go try to select this drop down and click English and click OK. And it is asking, do you want to upgrade or not? I will simply select no. So the second option should be no, and I agree. And again, the destination folder. In some companies, they will install in some D drive or their own folder, right? Instead of default C program files, right?
Yeah.
So one option is I need to select language. Another one is the destination folder. Let's say I create some here. Let's keep like this. And here the feature selection. This particular notepad is having many features here, right? Some features. So I want to tell the SCCM which particular feature should go, or I'll simply click next. But if it is instead of going with the defaults, let's say the project requirement is they want this localization also, like the language selection, and the plugins they don't want, like that. There are change in the features only for that particular project, right? So in that case, how SCCM will detect all these components and how will do it? It will do is, even though it is able to detect what is the selection, like how will they come to know? How will SCCM will come to know what are the features I want? Understood? They don't. It don't know, right? Like in some features, in some particular projects, they need these plugins, and and in some particular projects they want these themes to should be unselected. If it is common for everyone, SCCM will automatically do that one. But as it is different from project to project, we need to tell to SCCM in beforehand itself, we need to do all these things, right?
Yeah.
We need to pre-configure these things. So for that one, these details should be input to the SCCM. That's what I meant to say. So for that one, what I will do is, I will, in some softwares will support configuration files. Like if it is a Visual Studio, there will be a config.xml in the same file where that setup.exe is there. There I will modify everything. Understood? If it is a notepad.
Config.
For the Visual Studio, I am telling you, let's say if it is a notepad, NPP. So if I type /? or let's say, what I mean to say is for each and every product, the configuration will be different. For Visual Studio, there will be some config.xml. For MS Office, it will be a setup.xml. There will be a separate file just to that setup.exe where I can keep all these configurations beforehand. Instead of selecting in the GUI, I can keep everything in the configuration file so that when we double click that, those features will already be selected. Understood? So all those configurations will be different for different softwares. So what our application packaging team will do is, we'll create a silent installation, like silent installers for these products. Like let's say I have an MS Office. What I will do is, I will create an entry in this SCCM so that once the SCCM starts this MS Office, it won't ask me the feature selection and all, and it won't show me the GUI interfaces also. It will install everything in the background. Understood? Silently. It will install the application silently without showing me the UI. But which features to select and all, what are the configurations will be done by the application package repackaging team. Understood? Hello?
Can you repeat once again?
See, the deployment part will be taken care by the SCCMT people.
Yeah.
But which features should select, and which configuration should select, and where my file should get installed, and whether the desktop shortcut should be there or not. All these user configurations will be taken care by us. Before providing that application to the SCCM team, we will be doing all those configurations, and that end product, after doing all those configurations, we'll give that new setup.exe with the configuration files to the end user, to the SCCM admin team, so that they will deliver that, they will keep that final repackaged application, like all the configurations done by us, that complete configured setup file, they will deploy to the end users, so that those configurations will be applied directly. So in our work, we will do those configurations. Understood? Okay. So if we are able to do those configurations in those config files directly, we will be doing the config files. Let's say that configuration is not available. There are no configuration files. So how will you do that one? In that case, what we will do is, let's say this setup file, notepad is there, right?
Right.
This setup file is not having the configuration file. So in that case, what I will do is, I will convert this complete setup file, this notepad npp.exe. I will convert this complete file to npp.msi. Understood? So there is one capturing process for that one. How will you convert this exe to MSI? Here what you are doing is, instead of using the original notepad setup file, you are creating your own setup file with all those configurations. You are creating a new setup file with all the configurations which you are doing. So this setup file, converted MSA file, will be given to the SCCM people.
Okay.
So they will use this setup file created by you, not the original one. So here you are you are opening up the setup file and you are checking what are the details inside it, and you are creating your own setup file. Here you are repackaging an existing setup file to a new MSA. This is called as application repackaging.
Okay.
So this varies from product to product. Understood? The approach or the configuration methodologies will vary from product to product. But the end thing is you will be having a packaged application, repackaged application that you will be delivered to the SCCM team. Understood?
Okay.
So,
Uh,
so Uday,
yeah.
so means on the whole, so if we got a like example, we got a Notepad software. So we will take the Notepad software and we'll configure the file depending on the software requirements, and we'll attach the config file and the new MSA file and repackage to a individual setup, and we'll send to the SCCM guy.
Yes, SCCM guy. Yeah, actually, this was done, but now generally we are creating an entry in the SCCM directly. They have given option to us directly. I will show you how to upload in the SCCM also and to the auto deployment.
Okay.
1 minute. Actually, the meeting, as it is a trial version, it is ending. I'll create a new meeting request and I will send you in 2 minutes in the WhatsApp. You join there again. Okay.
Okay.
Okay.